Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings for Thursday, January the 19th. We got a short Thursday slate, 4-gamer for tonight. As always guys, we're going to give a game-by-game breakdown of this 4-game slate, kind of give my quick thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look on Wednesday night. But as always, before we get started with the breakdown, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to the channel and you've never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks, use my promo code Noah. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Check out PrizePicks if you've never checked them out before. They're a player prop site, so it's a little bit different than DraftKings and FanDuel. It's not like a site where you're building out a lineup and competing against other players. You're just taking more or less on a player's projection. They have projections already posted for Thursday's games. There is a 3 o'clock game between the Pistons and the Bulls, so you could take a look at some props for that game. They already have some props up for the night games as well. See if there's anything that stands out to you. Just take more or less on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. Make sure to give them a try, guys. Use that promo code Noah when you do sign up, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But let's go ahead and talk through Thursday's little 4-game slate. We'll start off with the first game of the night, the Warriors and the Celtics. Pretty sure this is a national TV game. This one should be really fun to watch. Both these teams could be coming into this game fully healthy. We got to wait and see on the status of Jaylen Brown. He is questionable for this game. Golden State will be missing a couple guys like Jonathan Kuminga's out, James Wiseman is out. But for the most part, assuming Brown plays, all the star players will be available in this game. We'll start off on the Boston side. So for Boston today, I think the big news to keep an eye on is obviously Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, I think, has been out the last 2 or 3 games. Listed as questionable for this one. It looks like he got a full practice in on Wednesday. So the fact that he got a full practice in Wednesday makes me assume he's probably going to play today. And if Jaylen Brown is back, that really makes everyone look a little bit less appealing. Makes Tatum look a little bit less appealing. Smart a little bit less appealing. I think Smart, where he's priced at 6,500, probably not interested in him if Brown is back. He's had some good games lately without Brown, but I think Brown coming back would definitely impact Smart. It would impact these other guys like Brogdon and Derek White as well. Tatum, I could still see going to at 10,800. Even though this is just a 4-game slate, there's actually a good amount of pay-up options today. You have Embiid, you have Steph, you have Tatum, you have Damian Lillard, Harden on this slate, Kyrie playing without KD. So there's plenty of pay-up options tonight. I think Tatum is still fine, though, at 10,800. Don't have an issue with him. Obviously would like him more if Brown got ruled out. If Brown plays at 9K, I think he's playable, but not a guy that I'm really prioritizing on this slate. And then the value guys from Boston, there's really not much value here. Robert Williams has been starting lately. I would assume that if Jaylen Brown comes back, that probably means that Robert Williams is going to go back to the bench. Now, Robert Williams has been seeing his minutes increase lately, 29, 28, 27 minutes. If he comes off the bench, I don't think he plays 28, 29 minutes, but if he somehow starts again, I think he would get close to 30 minutes. I would only have interest in Williams if he's starting. But again, I think if Jaylen Brown returns, that's probably going to mean that Robert Williams will go back to the bench. We'll just have to keep an eye on that, though. Keep an eye on their starting lineup. I guess they could move Derek White to the bench and still start Robert Williams. So if Robert Williams is still starting, now that his minutes are starting to come up, I think he's an option, at 5,500 if you want to go there. But that's really it for Boston. I don't see too much else I like here. Guys like Derek White, Grant Williams, these guys I'm only considering if Jaylen Brown's out. I don't have a ton of interest in them if Jaylen Brown plays. I know Grant Williams had a big game last game, but he's not a guy that I typically ever get excited to roster. Pretty low point per minute player. Definitely wouldn't want to chase that last game, I don't think. So let's talk about the other side with Golden State. And looking at the Warriors here, you got Steph Curry at 10,100. Not the best matchup here against the Celtics. Celtics a good defensive team. He's probably going to be harassed by Marcus Smart here. Look, Curry has a ton of upside, can put up a huge game any night. Since he's come back from his injury, he's not been that great, but he did have a decent game last game against Washington. Didn't do much with the peripherals, but he did score 41 points. We've seen Curry be more of a he's not been as much of a scoring dependent player this season. He's had some triple doubles this season. His rebounding numbers have been really good this year. He's been getting a lot of assists. He's also been getting some defensive stats too. So even though it's a tough matchup, I think Curry at 10,100 looks like a pretty decent pay-up option today. I do have some interest in him. But Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, I'm not that interested in these guys. Draymond Green tends to play better in these big time games against big time opponents. Now, last time they faced Boston, it was a national TV game. He did really poorly. only had 19 DraftKings points in 35 minutes, but we've seen him play really well in these type of game environments against really good opponents. So don't mind Draymond at 6K, especially like on a short slate like this, only 4 games. He's probably my second favorite play from Golden State behind Steph. Wiggins' price tag is way down. He's not really been that good lately since he's come back from his injury. 5,800 though is pretty cheap for Wiggins, so I think he's okay at this price tag. Like I wouldn't put him out of my player pool. If I'm playing one lineup, I don't know if I get to Wiggins in my one lineup, but if I was making multiple lineups, I would definitely have exposure to Wiggins. But I'm not really into any bench guys from Golden State. That's pretty much it for the Warriors. So let's move on to the next game, talk about Toronto and Minnesota. So Minnesota, they're going to be kind of the focal point of this slate. We don't really have any updates here, and they're on the second night of a back-to-back. Obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns is out right now, but Rudy Gobert did not play on Wednesday night, and also Austin Rivers did not play Wednesday night. So second night of a back-to-back, we'll have to see if Rivers plays. We'll have to see if Gobert plays. If these guys don't play, the biggest beneficiaries are pretty much going to be like almost all the starters. Anthony Edwards is going to benefit a little bit. D'Angelo Russell benefits a little bit. Kyle Anderson had another huge game on Wednesday night. Kyle Anderson has been really good, especially in these games without Gobert. I think he had like 50-something DraftKings points or something close to that, like 40-something DraftKings points. He had a really big game. And then Naz Reid got into some foul trouble guarding Jokic, but obviously he would start again if Gobert got ruled out. Naz Reid would be a really, really good value play. His price tag's still really cheap. He's power forward and center eligible. He'd be a really tough guy to fade. I think you're probably going to be playing Naz Reid in a ton of lineups if Gobert got ruled out. And given it's a back-to-back, I think there's a pretty good chance Gobert doesn't play. So, yeah, if Gobert doesn't play, I like a lot of these Minnesota guys, especially Naz Reid. I think Kyle Anderson looks really appealing again. Anthony Edwards at 8,900, I don't mind. Tougher matchup against this Toronto defense, going up against OG Anunoby, who's a really good defender. But Edwards is going to have a ton of usage, so obviously there's some upside for him. He has been on the injury report lately, and again, it's the second night of a back-to-back, so like I wouldn't be surprised if they sit Anthony Edwards here. For now, just kind of have to assume he plays, but that'll be something to monitor. D'Angelo Russell at 6,700, not super appealing. He's not really been playing that well lately. His game log this season, I hate to like look at game log, but he just hasn't had a ton of good games, hasn't showed a ton of upside. I think I would only have interest in Russell if Anthony Edwards somehow rested on the second night of a back-to-back, which could happen, but until we get news on that, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But obviously, like we said, if Gobert is out, really like Kyle Anderson, really like Naz Reid. I think Jaden McDaniels is fine as well if you want to go there. If Gobert plays, then you kind of scratch all that I said. Gobert himself, if he does play, it's 7K. Like I think on a 4-game slate would be an okay option. We have seen Gobert play pretty big minutes, as of late. Now the last 2 games he's gotten injured, so hate to can't really look too much into those games. But when he's been healthy, I mean you've seen him play like 32, 38 minutes, 36 minutes. So at 7K, if Gobert is healthy and playing tonight, I do have some interest in him. But let's move on to the Toronto side now. In Toronto, this is a pretty easy team to break down for the most part. You're mainly going to be looking at the starters for Toronto just because the starters are getting all the minutes right now. Siakam's playing 40 minutes a night. Van Vliet's playing 40 minutes a night. Scotty Barnes, OG, Trent, they're playing high 30s. I think at 9,700, Siakam looks kind of appealing here, especially if Rudy Gobert is not playing. Like if Gobert is out, obviously the paint protection for this Minnesota defense would not be nearly as strong. The rim protection would not be nearly as good. I think the matchup would definitely get a lot better for Siakam if Gobert is out, and his price tag's coming down. I know Siakam has not had really that many good games lately, but I feel like a big game's coming for him at some point. And I think this matchup's pretty decent for him at 9,700, especially if there's no Gobert. So I have some interest in Siakam today. Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes, at their price tags, I'm not as interested in. Van Vliet feels priced about right at 8,100. He obviously has a ton of upside, and we've seen that in the last 2 games. He's been playing really, really well lately. He's been playing huge minutes, but the price tag has kind of adjusted for that. Obviously, the team's fully healthy too. We can't expect Van Vliet to put up 60 DraftKings points every night. I think most nights he's going to put up like 35 to 40, which at this salary is not great. So I'm not super interested in Van Vliet. Scotty Barnes also been playing really well lately, but his price tag is kind of adjusted now. He's 7,600. At 7,600, I'm not like running to roster Scotty Barnes. But again, these guys are going to play so many minutes that they have a path to upside. But I would say Siakam's probably my favorite of all the Toronto guys. Trent and OG, where they're priced at, they feel just like mediocre, like secondary plays. I'm not super interested in them either. Do want to mention Press Achiuwa as a value. So Achiuwa's been coming off the bench, been playing low 20s minutes. He's only 3,700. I don't expect Achiuwa to go out there and put up like 50 DraftKings points or anything, but right now there's not a ton of value on this slate. We'll have to wait and see like if any value opens up. If no value opens up, I think as a punt play for 3,700, probably going to get 23, 24 minutes. He's a decent per-minute producer. Don't mind going to Achua for value on this slate. I think he is in play. Pretty sure last game, Toronto ran an 8-man rotation, so they've been running a really tight rotation. It's pretty much going to be the 5 starters playing huge minutes, and then off the bench, Achua, Boucher, maybe Flynn gets some minutes. I know Juancho Hernan-Gomez played a little bit last game. He played like 8 minutes. Flynn played 3 minutes. I don't even think he played last game. I think he was a DMP. So they pretty much ran like a 7-man rotation last game. Obviously, if they continue to do that, there's a chance that you see like 24, 25 minutes for Achua. And then maybe Boucher plays like high teens. Obviously, Boucher's a really good per-minute producer, but his minutes have been really tough to predict this season. Probably wouldn't go there unless you're playing like a super large field GPP. I think Boucher's only someone I'm considering like in the lottos. So let's move on to the next game, Brooklyn and Phoenix. So we'll start off on the Brooklyn side. Obviously, right now for Brooklyn, no Kevin Durant, so we can expect Kyrie Irving to have a really big role. Kyrie Irving, did not play last game, but he's probable, so you expect it back for this game. The 2 games lately without Kevin Durant have not been that great for Kyrie Irving. Just 40 DraftKings points against Boston, just 34 DK points against OKC. Not the best matchup here against Phoenix. Probably going to be guarded by Mikal Bridges, who's a really good defender. Look, Kyrie's got a ton of upside playing without Kevin Durant. He's going to have a ton of usage. The volume, the shot attempts are going to be there. The price tag, though, does not make Kyrie stand out on this slate. I had a lot of interest in Kyrie last slate, but that was a much better matchup against San Antonio. This isn't nearly as good of a spot. I still think Kyrie's in play, but not a priority for me on this slate. And the rest of Brooklyn, I'm pretty much off of. With Kyrie back, all these guys got priced up a little bit, so none of these guys look super appealing with Kyrie back. Ben Simmons had a triple-double last game, but I feel like with Kyrie coming back, that definitely caps the upside a little bit on Simmons. I think Simmons does offer more upside playing without Kevin Durant just because they need more ball handling, they need more facilitating, they need rebounding, and obviously Simmons can provide all that. But 7,100, you're really paying the premium for him. He's not a standout play anymore now that he's 7,100. So like Brooklyn, man, they don't look that appealing today, I'll be honest. I think Kyrie's the one guy I probably would go to here. I don't mind Simmons, but like Claxton at 7,400, I'm not super interested in. Royce O'Neal at 5,700, I'm not super interested in. Same goes for Curry and Warren. So that pretty much does it for the Nets. And then on the Phoenix side, looking at the Suns here. So obviously no Devin Booker right now for Phoenix. Chris Paul, I believe, is questionable for this game. We'll have to see if he returns here. He's been out for like the last, I want to say like 5 or 6 games. So if Chris Paul returns, that obviously makes a lot of these guys look less appealing. Mikal Bridges, Dwayne Washington. Pretty much, I think Dwayne Washington actually was a DMP last game, which was really, really odd. But obviously he's pretty much out of play now. Like there's not going to be a ton that stands out from Phoenix if Paul is in. Now if Paul remains out, then we can look to some of these guys like a Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet. He started at point guard last game, but we'll have to see what they do because Shamet's out today. So if Shamet without Shamet, if Chris Paul were to get ruled out too, we might see them start Saben Lee. That they didn't really play Dwayne Washington at all last game, so don't know what they're going to do here at the starting point guard spot. Saben Lee did play 28 minutes last game. I know some of that came in garbage time, but maybe they start him at point guard if Chris Paul's out. They obviously didn't play Dwayne Washington last game. If Dwayne Washington starts, then obviously he would be in play at 5K. But tough to really break down this Phoenix team right now. I mean, we're going to need some updates on Chris Paul. I don't really like much on Phoenix with assuming Paul is in. But if Paul is out, then, Ayton, Bridges, I don't mind going there. They don't feel like, incredible plays, though. I think they're kind of priced appropriately, but I think they would be viable options. And then obviously these value guys would become playable if Paul's out. We'll have to wait and see like what they do with the starting lineup. Worth noting that Cam Johnson is expected back for this game. We'll have to see. I'm sure he's probably going to be on a minutes limit. He hasn't played in like 2 months. They might bring him off the bench too. I don't think he's really going to be viable for DFS today, but he is going to play today. So yeah, I think that does it for Phoenix. I think we kind of talked about all the options that I'm really interested in here. So let's go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, Philly and Portland. We'll start off on the Portland side. So for Portland today, Jusuf Nurkic, I believe is probable. He's expected to play. So Jusuf Nurkic expected to play. Damian Lillard coming in at 10K. Really tough matchup here for Lillard. I know Philly has done a really good job limiting point guards this season, point guard production. I think a lot of that's kind of been due to the strong defense of DeAnthony Melton. But man, Damian Lillard's just been playing at an elite level lately. 61, 60, 56, 61 DraftKings points over his last 4 games. I still think Lillard's in play on a short slate like this. I wouldn't consider him my favorite pay-up option, but I don't mind going there. I think he will come in at lower ownership with other stud options to go to today. So don't mind Lillard even at 10K. Nurkic, really scary spot going up against Embiid, but I have a feeling this is a spot where they're going to need his size. I don't think they really want to go small or they really want to play Drew Eubanks against Embiid. So I think as long as Nurkic can avoid foul trouble, I think he's going to play like high 30s minutes. He was on pace to play pretty big minutes last game, but he did get into some foul trouble against Jokic. If we're getting like 34, 35 minutes from Nurkic, even in a tough matchup, Nurkic is one of these guys that can put up 45, 50 DraftKings points when he gets the minutes, and I think the minutes will be there in this matchup. So I actually kind of like Nurkic as a tournament play. But the rest of Portland, Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, I don't love these guys. Josh Hart is super, super cheap. Have a feeling he's going to project pretty well at his salary. Josh Hart has really shown like no upside this season. I feel like, a good game from Josh Hart is like 40 DraftKings points. Obviously, if you get 40 DraftKings points from Hart, you're going to be thrilled. Most nights, I think he's going to put up like 25 to 30, but 25, 30 DraftKings points at 4,900 is pretty solid. So I actually think Josh Hart's an okay value here. I have a feeling he's going to be pretty popular just because he is kind of cheap, but he's definitely on my radar for a cheap option. But I'm not really considering any Portland guys off the bench. It's really just the starters and mainly Lillard, Nurkic, Hart I'm looking to from Portland. And then on the Philly side, so Joel Embiid's coming in at 11K. I made Joel Embiid the thumbnail for today. I think Embiid probably is the best pay-up option right now. Just when you look at the pay-up options on the slate, like I said, it's a 4-game slate. Only, it's a small slate, but there's plenty of pay-up options. You got Embiid, Tatum, Curry, Lillard, Kyrie, Harden, Siakam, potentially Jaylen Brown, Anthony Edwards. Like, there's a lot of guys to spend up for. I think Embiid's probably my favorite of all those guys, just because we know Embiid has that 65, 70 point upside and can put up 65, 70 any night. I think the matchup against Nurkic is like not the best, but I don't think it's the worst either. Embiid's pretty much a matchup-proof guy regardless. He's going to get the usage. He's going to get the shot attempts. He's going to produce when he's on the floor. Don't feel like this is a spot where Embiid goes out there and puts up like 80, but I think you can definitely get 55, 60 from Embiid tonight. And at his price tag, with the other pay-up options on the slate, if Embiid puts up 60, he could be the highest scoring player overall. So I definitely like Embiid at 11K. Harden is 9,800, coming off a really, really bad game against the Clippers. Had 25 DraftKings points, probably his worst game of the season. Would expect Harden to bounce back here. Matchup against Portland, I think is fine. I think 9,800 is a reasonable price tag for Harden. Don't mind going there, but not my favorite pay-up option. I probably would rather go to Embiid. Probably would rather go to like Tatum and Steph, I think, as well. But I don't mind Harden at 9,800. But like Maxey, Harris, Melton, none of these guys really stand out. They've actually been bringing Maxey off the bench lately. Now, he's still been playing pretty good minutes, but coming off the bench, I'm not super interested in Maxey. Tobias Harris, just when he's playing with Harden, with Embiid, with Maxey, like he just hasn't shown a ton of upside. He did put up 47 DraftKings points last game, but I really don't want to chase that. We just haven't really seen consistent upside from Harris when everyone's healthy. So I'm not that interested in Harris, and then like Melton, like none of these other guys stand out. It's really just Harden and Embiid that I'm interested in from Philly. And that's it, guys, for this little 4-game slate. I know it was a quick video, but not too much to talk about with there only being 4 games tonight. I'm sure we'll have a much bigger slate for Friday. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, appreciate you watching. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, go check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks. Use my promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Definitely give PrizePicks a try if you guys have not yet. But good luck on the slate. Thanks for watching these DFS videos. As always, guys, I appreciate your support. We'll see you in the next one.